programme. So I'm employed by Leeds and York Partnership Foundation Trust, but very much to work across all partners, across the NHS, across the third sector and across Leeds City Council. I've come to give a bit of an update, and I'm conscious people might have different levels of understanding or have been involved to different degrees. So I've assumed a kind of limited base knowledge so that I can give as much information as is helpful. If you've heard any of that before, I apologise, and feel free to think about something else if I'm talking about something you've already heard about. I was going to share some slides, which I'll do in a sec, and I've also got a video to show. And Annette works very closely alongside me, as Annette said in her introduction. Annette, feel free to jump in and contribute any bits that you want to as we go along, if that's all right. I also apologise, I'm quite unwell and I'm losing my voice, so please bear with me and I'll try and get through it without croaking too much. Okay, I will share my screen and we can make a start. Okay, has that come up? Can you see those?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Liz.
Fabulous. Thank you. Okay, so we wanted to just come give a bit of an update really and have a conversation and answer any questions. So a bit of a reminder about the new model of care and what will be different, and what we've already done in terms of some new ways of working and some new roles and support offers. Between Annette and myself, we'll say a little bit about how we've been working with communities, and we just want to say a bit about where we're at in the work, timescales and next steps. So just a bit of a reminder about why this matters. So when we talk about transforming community mental health, we're talking about people with what we would say are complex and ongoing mental health problems and need. And that is sometimes called, so I'm going to try and not use acronyms because they don't always make sense to everybody. And that here is one of my first slides. So we talk about complex and ongoing mental health needs. That is sometimes called severe mental illness or SMI. And we know that we have about 8,000 people in Leeds who are registered on what is called an SMI register, and that sits on GP registers in primary care. We know that that is probably a vast underestimation of need in Leeds in terms of people with complex and ongoing mental health needs, but that is a data source we can use, but it is likely to be an underestimation. We also know in Leeds we've got higher than average rate of first episode psychosis. And there's work we want to do to be much more upstream about how do we identify people who are likely to be at risk of psychosis. And we know that people who have complex and ongoing mental health issues and needs experience a real disparity in terms of their outcomes, not least around physical health, which is summarised on this slide. So we know that there's a real inequality around people's health status and life expectancy when they have severe mental illness. And we also know that people don't get the best care and support because things aren't necessarily as joined up. There are long waits, particularly for psychological therapies. So this is why we're doing what we're doing, essentially. We know we've got lots of fantastic provision across Leeds, particularly in the third sector. We've got loads of brilliant third sector provision of mental health services. But we still know that there are long waits for people, and we still know that it can be difficult for people to navigate those different services and not have to retell their story several times. I just wanted to share this back with people as well. So right back when we started this work a couple of years ago, Healthwatch worked with us and did some work in our early implementer LCP areas to understand what matters to people in terms of an offer around meeting people's mental health needs. And these were the key themes that came up. And there's some variance, obviously, between the different areas, but there's some commonality as well, and some big things jumped out around kindness and compassion and the importance of people feeling listened to and us being really trauma informed in how we work, about support that's tailored to different needs, that's culturally appropriate, and about access, so having things available locally to people. And we've used that throughout our work to go back to think about how we're designing a new model of care, how we're training and supporting our staff, to think about things like what support we have in different communities, how we have a trauma-informed response to all that we do, and how we work with people. So I just wanted to say that up front about how important that is, and hopefully that will thread through when I talk through some of the bits of work that we've done. So our vision is to create a radical new model of joined up care that responds to local populations' needs and removes barriers to access. We want to get people the right care, treatment and support as early as possible. And we want to have that focus on communities. So we know that, and we've heard from people, and we know that this idea of onward recovery, of living a fulfilling life, is really important to people. And that needs to be rooted in communities and recognise the strength of people, their social connections, and what's available in their community. And it also recognises the difference between those different populations, and what you might need in Hatch might look very different to, say, what's needed in Wetherby. So there's bits of the transformation which will look the same wherever someone is in Leeds, and there are bits of provision that will look different and particular to an LCP population. Just to say, the scope of this work is adults, and most of the work we've done to date is on the working age adult, and by that we mean under 65. We do need to make sure we've got good pathways for young people to transition into those services, and that's work we still need to do. And we also are currently doing some work around what needs to look different for older people. So that work is underway at the minute. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the slides at this point because I'm going to quickly play a video. So I will come out of that and then share another screen and hope that the technology doesn't fail me. Can you all hear that?
We can see it, but I don't think we can hear it.
Okay, so I need to click something, don't I, when I share? Okay, this should work now. Apologies, and we'll try again.
Community mental health services across Leeds are going through a transformation. These changes and improvements mean that by the end of 2024, services and supports will be targeted to local communities where they are needed and will have the greatest impact. Transforming mental health services and care for adults and older people is a national and regional priority. We know that people with ongoing and complex mental health issues, which are sometimes referred to as serious or severe mental illness, often have poorer physical health and are more likely to die younger. Some people are also not getting the care they need. Some may not meet the criteria for the help they need. And services are not routinely joined together. Now, more than ever, we need services that provide timely, high-quality local mental health care and support. People must be able to move through the system easily, getting care where and when they need it. They need to be able to manage their mental health or move towards their recovery on their own terms, surrounded by those who are important to them, like their family, networks and community. And they need to be able to play a role in their community in whatever way is most comfortable for them. NHS organisations across Leeds, Leeds City Council, the third sector, service users and people with lived experience including carers are planning how services, care and support can be provided in a joined up way. We have collaborated to design what we are currently calling an integrated community mental health hub. Hubs will be based in local care partnerships or a group of local care partnerships. A local care partnership is a group of people working together to deliver collaborative care tailored to its community's needs. Referrals to the hubs will be simple, fast and flexible and can be made in a number of different ways. We will respond quickly to referrals and work with people to understand their needs. We will provide personalised mental and physical care and support, including psychological treatments and therapies, social care and community-based support delivered by third sector organisations to support recovery and help people to live a fulfilling life. We will support people in their community, for example with housing, benefits or employment. We are starting this major transformation with pilot hubs in 3 local care partnership community areas. By the end of 2024, there will be hubs across the city, ensuring that every adult in Leeds has access to the right community mental health care and services when they need them and provided close to where they live. For more information about how community mental health services are changing and how these improvements will benefit people in Leeds, visit the Mindwell website at www.mindwell-leeds.org.uk.
Okay, thank you. I'll just go back to my slides. I just wanted to play that because it gives a more interesting overview than me kind of going through all those steps. So are the slides there again now, Rachel?
Yep, all good.
Fabulous, thank you. So a big part of transformation is what the video described as this idea of an integrated community mental health hub. And this is just to expand on that a bit. So the idea is that we will bring together a single multi-professional team working in an area, and they'll work together to look at those persons' needs and how they can best be met. And we've started some of this work already. So at the minute we have a primary care mental health team that sits in Leeds Mental Wellbeing Service, and we have a community mental health team with 2 separate referral routes. We've already started bringing those teams together to do joint triaging of referrals so that they can work out actually where can those persons' needs best be met. The idea is that everybody who's referred will have an initial helpful conversation, and that's about understanding what's going on with that person, what's brought them there, and what might be the right support. Now, for some people, that might be the intervention in itself, or it might be, as happens now, a social prescribing offer. It might be an offer to a community wellbeing connector to help them link into some community support groups or assets, or it might be that they need more of an enhanced multidisciplinary assessment. And that would happen. Everybody will then have a personalised care plan, and everybody will have a named key worker who will work with them throughout their journey of care. We've done lots of work with more specialist services to think about if somebody's needs change, how do we step them up into that offer of support in a really seamless way? And as I said, and what's in the middle of that diagram and is really important is us putting people and the strengths within communities at the heart of that. And we've done that through some new roles, which you probably will already know a bit about, but I can say a bit more about in a sec. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about what have we done so far. So while we've been developing that model with all partners, we've been doing lots of recruitment to build up the workforce. So some of the roles we've recruited to already, we've built a new primary care therapies team. So that's a group of psychological therapeutic practitioners who are able to work in that gap between primary care and community mental health teams. We've recruited some new advanced clinical practitioners and their training roles, and they will work directly with primary care networks to support people with complex mental health needs. We've recruited a number of community wellbeing connectors. So in Hatch, they work for Touchstone, and their role is very much about linking people up to different resources and support available in communities. We've expanded peer support provision to work alongside people, pharmacy support, and some new rehab and recovery practitioner roles as well, who will particularly support people with psychosis, and they're being recruited to at the minute. I won't talk through all the detail of this, but the second bullet point there, a lot of what we've done is also expand psychological group work offers, which is a way of trying to get people some psychological support sooner. And some of those are really about supporting people through things like occupational therapy and support for young adults with complex emotional needs. As I said, we've already started the joint triaging of referrals. We're seeing some really good gains from that. So what we've seen is a lot of referrals are going to multiple places in the system. So by just getting those people speaking to each other, we're able to get rid of some of those inefficiencies and make sure that somebody's having a helpful conversation sooner. Lots of work has happened with something called Emerge, which is a new service which works with young adults with complex emotional needs associated with personality disorder diagnosis. And we've also been doing lots of work to get the teams for those early implementer hubs in those LCP areas set up. I've already talked to this. So this is some of the new roles that we've developed around the community wellbeing connectors and the peer support roles. And as I said, these roles are very much about supporting people's ongoing recovery and working alongside people really to support that ongoing recovery. Another big part of the work that we've done is something called the Transforming Community Health Grant, again, which people on this call may be aware of. So this is work that's being jointly led by Forum Central along with Leeds Community Foundation. So in the first round of grants, these are the grants that have been awarded, and these are grants that are there to fund community-based initiatives that will work with and support people with complex mental health needs. So the highlighted ones are the grants that have been funded in Hatch. And in terms of next steps, a second round of community grants will be opening in October. The focus this time will be a little bit different. So there will be a split pot, and the pot will be split between projects and initiatives that will support particular groups of people, which are the 5 groups that are set out here. And then for other local care partnership areas, there will be pots of money which are about very kind of hyper-local community-based support initiatives. So Sarah Wilson is the lead for that from Forum Central, and information will be shared on that. And I'm happy to take any questions and take them back to Sarah off the back of this call. Another big part of our work, and as Annette can say more about, is around how we work with communities, and we want that to really drive the work that we're doing. So I referenced at the start the Health Watch engagement work around what matters to people, and that informed the design of the model, but it also informed the community grants work. So that helped inform criteria around the sorts of grants that should be funded. We have involvement workers working alongside Annette and with Annette to work with specific groups and communities, and that includes racialised communities, carers, young adults, and older adults as well. Annette, would you like to add anything to that?
No, just to say that there has been a real focus on addressing the inequality within the transformation model. I think having the team, one of the things we wanted to make sure we did was we captured voices that we weren't hearing from. So we were conscious that we're not hearing from everyone, so we're not going to assume the people around the table, and that's the voice. And so we're doing a big piece of outreach work to really drill down into communities. So hopefully some of the organisations represented here, if we come and knock on your door, hopefully you'll open the door to us and let us in and let us engage with your service users or clients or whatever name you give them. So I'm just putting that out there. But yeah, it's really important, I think, this work, that people do engage with it and that we hear from as many people that we possibly can. Thank
you, Annette. And that's really just adding to what you've just said, Annette, there.
Yeah.
Okay, just in terms of timescales and next steps. So a lot of the work since January has been really getting ready for going live or launching those integrated community mental health hubs in our first 3 local care partnership areas. It's quite complicated for a number of reasons. So one is some of the roles we've got already work around primary care networks and local care partnerships. So for example, our community wellbeing connector roles or our primary care mental health practitioners. Our community mental health teams are configured differently, so they work across 3 localities. So we've been doing a lot of work to think about how do we map that workforce onto a primary care network and local care partnership footprint. And we've used, back to Wynette's point around health inequalities, we've used data in a more nuanced way to help us do that. So we haven't just gone, okay, that many referrals come from that PCN, therefore that many community mental health team staff will map across. We've looked at things like deprivation, ethnicity, physical health status. So when we've looked at how do we map workforce to areas, it's looked at the needs of that population and complexity, not just a kind of referrals type number. So that has just taken some time to work through. We are aiming to go live later on in the autumn, and we will be starting that with an induction. So we will bring those 3 early implementer hub teams together for an induction, which will include some joint training around trauma-informed care and things like formulation. But also, really importantly, we want those teams to start to build relationships and feel like one team working with and for a local population, because we can design all the best processes and things in the world, but it's about the culture and it's about how that team work together. We will then be looking to sort of scale this up over the next 1 to 2 years. So we're aiming for mid to late November. There's some work that we need to do around information governance and data sharing agreements. So that is happening at the minute, and our programme board will meet in mid-October and confirm that we can go ahead in November. But that's what we're currently planning for. And obviously we will put out communications before then. And that was as much as I wanted to say, really. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions or comments, so I'll stop sharing my screen and happy to take any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Liz. Particularly appreciate when you're not feeling too well either.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm sorry. I've also got a sick child at home, so I'm sorry to keep her out of the way. So
it's not ideal.
It's okay. No, it's fine. That's just life since COVID, isn't it? So don't worry.
Has anybody got any questions for Liz? No, you might have escaped it, Liz. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I thought, is it Emma at BSA was talking but was on mute, so I don't know if that was...
Yeah, sorry. Laptop's gonna be funny.
Go ahead, Emma.
I was talking away then to myself. I was just mentioning, so I work at